Good evening, everyone. I think we get started. A very warm welcome. Oh, the lights are missing. Can you see me?
Oh, there we go.
All right. The lights are missing. I think that's for the streaming, actually. Because we're going to stream, we are streaming, actually, the talk here on social media. And we're doing that the whole day already. And we had on average between 5,000 and 10,000 viewers. So while we are not so many in the room, there are a few thousands actually out there watching us. And to all of them, a very warm welcome. A very warm welcome to our evening. And the topic of the event tonight is Digital Business Models with Industry X.0. So what's happening? And let me do a very quick introduction. And I'll do that before I introduce the panelists. Industry 4.0 was coined 7 years ago. Professor Walster, you were part of the group bringing it to the platform here. And the world has matured a lot. And what started out as many pilots trying out things, see how we can use digital sensors, intelligence in the products, platforms, connectivity to create small advantages here and there. That's how it started. I think the industry has progressed to a completely different state. And that's what we want to talk about this evening. We want to talk about, actually, I would believe, is the next level of professionalization. It's not about the next digital advantage. It's about the digital business models. And it's probably about the digital twin, which is at the core of the digital business models. And let me start the evening with a small movie, and I talk about what you see in the movie after we have shown the movie. Now, I'll come back to that. Well, impressive, right? This is Machivision. Machivision is an Accenture company. And while you probably hopefully liked the movie, it is important what's behind the movie. What does Machivision do? They curate digital twin for cars. The big automotive companies are their customers, or they are serving them. And they take a car, interior and exterior, they convert, together with the manufacturer of the car, they convert everything into a digital twin. They maintain the digital twin for many years. And when you want to have a visualization of the car on your social media, custom made for your customer, when you want to have it in an animated movie, when you want to have it basically in different configurations around the world, it happens at the press of a button of the digital twin. It shows you the power. And that's what you have seen. None of these scenes in the film were filmed in real world. They're all coming off the computer. And this is the future, what we are talking about when we're talking about new business models. We are talking about the digital twin. And, and I just want to introduce you to the way we think about it, what's going to happen. Some say the digital twin is a shadow. That's completely wrong. It's really upside down. The digital twin is not a shadow of the real world. The digital twin starts the real world. What we will see companies do, they will engineer products as a digital twin. They will engineer it for the markets, for different configurations, They will engineer it for performance and for experiences, all on the computer. The digital twin, the virtual digital twin, will start to live before the real product emerges. And once you're done with that, you show it to the end customer. Does he like it? You market it that way. You sell it that way. That's what we're doing with Marke Vision. We are managing the digital twin, and we are helping the automotive customers to develop a truly hyper-personalized experience in marketing and sales around the car which has been produced. Then you manufacture the car and you service the car or your product. This is a digital twin. It will be the heart of the true digital industry. It will be the heart of the transformation we see. And we in Accenture believe we're working with the Industry 4.0 platform on the new work stream, digital business models. We believe the combination of a smart product, which starts as a digital twin, the combination of this product and the services, again, services which can be emulated as a digital twin, and experiences adding to the product and the service, again, which can be emulated as a digital twin, will redefine industries, will disrupt industries. That's when we talk about digital business models. So with that, this is what we're going to talk about tonight. With that, let me introduce, and I have to go back, let me introduce our esteemed speakers and panel tonight. We start with Eberhard Veit. He has been the CEO of Festo for many, many years, many other CEO roles. You sit on a quite prestigious number of supervisory boards, and you see what's going on actually around digitalization in machinery and industrial, and looking forward on your thoughts for the digital twin. We have Professor Dr. Axel Steppken. He is the CEO of the TÜV, of the inspection services, if I may so. And think about a digital twin with a copy in the virtual world, which has software in it, and it changes behavior every day. How you certify that? How is your business model changing in the inspection services? We hear about that. We have Professor Walster. You were on stage yesterday. You coined Industry 4.0, and clearly, big data and artificial intelligence. You're heading the largest artificial intelligence institute in the world, the DFKI. Clearly, the digital twin will change the game again. And how does that correlate with artificial intelligence? Looking forward to that. We have Dr. Harsh Frasch. You're with Schneider Electric. Schneider is a leader with the ExoStructure platform. And while there was a lot of noise from many, you have taken these concepts, what we just seen, to life. And I love your examples, which some of them you will talk about, probably not all. And last not least, we are working as Accenture with the platform Industry 4.0 to really define the future of the German industries. And my colleague, Professor Dr. Svenja Falk, Svenja's here, she is orchestrating, moderating that particular work stream. So what we will do tonight, we'll have 5 to 7 minute impulse statements, one after the other, and we talk about digital business models, we talk about the digital twin, and then we try to bring it all together here as a panel on stage. With that, Dr. Veit, welcome you on stage. Big round of applause.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor.
Thank you.
So I'm really happy to be here this evening. It has been a busy day, and I don't know whether you have already had a nice view around here on the fair, but I can give in my opening speech what my impressions are from this fair. And I think this fair is quite interesting. And I named it, maybe what we can see here is an agile sprint. Why? Agile, for me, stands for, you see a lot of architecture-based products. This stands for A, architecture-based products. A lot of products around here are done modular so that they can add together to systems, digital systems. The G from Agile stands for general new business models. I think we have seen a lot, and you should do it, business thoughts about the industries. Years ago, ladies and gentlemen, we have been walking through the halls, and there have been individual products, but it seems now really that people thinking about how to interact the products, how to interact between the companies and to get out a new business model. And what we see is also a lot of people thinking about how the cloud strategy in their company should be. Next word was the I from Agile. And what I see is an inspiration of really innovation. And I have never seen such a lot of new things, products, because I'm really an engineer. And my former company, I guided only with technology, and all the finance things has been not so interesting because that's an outcome. The engineering and innovation is a step forward. So I think, last but not least, from HR, we have then the LE. And this is what I didn't see so much. It's the learning and training and people training. So this is a little bit missing in the exhibition. Coming to the sprint, what does it mean? This is about the company to change about spirit. The S for spirit and speed. I think the speed has risen very much. The P stands for participation. If you're going at booths, also like here, the people are enthusiastic to show you what they have shown. So such a Hanover Fair and also the booth like we see here is showing people very proud what they have done while the year and showing. So participation. R stands for me for rely. I think years ago a lot of questions, also from journalists, have been very critical. I think everybody sees to rely now on what's coming on with the digitalization. Sprint, the E stands once more for innovation and inspiration. And last but not least, the last two words are the N for need. And Mr. Russwurm from Siemens once said, digitalization, it has been years ago, is like as if you are standing in front of a train, the train is coming, and if you are not in the train, you have a problem. And T means trust. Trust on the future of digitalization. I think, and that's my statement, that we have seen a lot of digital twin of a lot of visions, but what has missing for me, and I name it an economic twin, it has been missing. A lot of simulations of technology, but economic simulation, what's the outcome in parallel, what you can harvest at the final end, it has been missing. And last sentence, ladies and gentlemen, is not all innovations must be digital. It could be also, while thinking a lot, like, for example, from the bionic, from birds, because birds don't have 20, 30, 100, 10,000 different grippers. They have just one and can grip everything. And so this company, maybe some of you know, did a gripper which is now doing, for example, Ferrero X to grip and to fill it. And you can see it, it's very, no electronic in, no software from Accenture, nothing is done there, but it's working. So please think before you do a lot of efforts. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Veit. I like your agile and spirit, and I like your economical digital twin.
So you get this one.
You know, and not everything needs to be digital, I agree. Dr. Veit, your world is... Oh, sorry, Dr. Professor Stettgen, my misdoing. Your world is analog and digital as well. How is your business model changing? Oh.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, since yesterday we all have been talking about connectivity, about collaboration within the value chains, and the question is, what exactly did change over the years? The value chains have changed, and that means, in addition to, let's say, the things which are going on the shop floors, we are now collaborating between, so to say, the shop floors and later the services, the maintenance, and all the other services which come later. And that means what has changed is that what we have been looking to at the past, as Dr. Veit also said, we looked at single solutions now into whole chains or into networks. So, and there's one industry which had already in the past a lot of money. That was the Formula One industry. Already in that industry, 10 years ago, they started to have 2 cars racing on the race course. One in the computer and one on the race course itself, the physical car. And whatever they wanted to test, wanted to try out, and wanted to try out to make the real car faster, they first did that in the computer. And that was, in my view, one of the first digital twins which were already 10 years ago, or starting 10 years ago, possible because this industry had so much money they could afford that. Today, with having cheaper sensors, having cheaper internet access, having cheaper connectivity all over the world, basically all industry can afford exactly that. And the beauty of it is, and this is also what Mr. Riemsberger said before, if you now get a connection between, so to say, the static twin, the one which comes out of the workshop, and connect that together with the dynamics during the services, during the operation, then suddenly we get information for the real world already possible in the, so to say, virtual world. And we can do everything which later we want to do in the physical world then already in the virtual world. And then now we come to, so to say, also the change in our business model, which means that also for us now, the question is, will it in future really be necessary to do physical testing, physical inspection, physical auditing of products, of systems, of processes, of people? No, probably not, because we can do it here on the digital twin side up front. And you all know the building information modeling, the BIM modeling. We have, for instance, decided we build a new office building in Singapore, very large investment for us. We will model that from the first day. First of all, because we think that already in the design phase, and especially also in the phase of construction, we will probably have a lot of savings. Although I had a little bit problem with my CFO to convince him to invest no additional money into the BIM, but I could agree with him that later he will save money. But anyway, so we hope that we will save money during the construction phase. But what will be more important is that we are convinced that we will save the money later in the operational phase. That is, for instance, in the BIM, in the infrastructure and real estate already today, a way to use this digitalization of the real world. But now the big questions start. And that leads me to our original business model. When we now have, so to say, the digital model, the big question is, do we have trust in this digital model? What is the real truth? What exactly does it mean now we have a digital model? Who assesses this model is exactly a mirror of reality? And what exactly is necessary to get that? Are we sure about the calibration of the sensors which later get the information into the model from the real world? What is the quality of that model and who does this model? And then, even if we have that and we have found solutions to have trust in the model, the question is, do we have enough standards to operate within this model? Because we have sensors of the real world who, so to say, send information into the virtual world. And today, at least, there is not one standard which describes the interoperability between the sensors, the different sensors, and, which are available in the world, and the digital models. And the question is also how the different digital models, which might be single part of total systems, can be modeled in a way that they also understand each other. So that's also the reason why we are, for instance, part of the Smart Factory initiative of the DFK-AI of Professor Walzner, where we try to develop a modular certification for parts of the total factory. Yes? So we have these manufacturing models which have to be removed and put, and there should be in future be put a new model inside. And today the standards say that you have to certify the whole factory again, which is of course in the times of Industry 4.0 complete bullshit. So we have to find a new solution. But today it is very difficult to define the, so to say, the interfaces between the different virtual models. And last but not least, it's also a matter of data privacy. Imagine, we do not speak about, let's say, a simple building of Tufsuit in Singapore. Imagine we talk about a critical infrastructure, and this is modeled, and the information gets into the wrong hands. What that could mean in future. So that is also one of the reasons why we have also one of our new business models that we try to find a solution to save these, store these mirrored data, the digital twin data, in a very safe environment, and we have also a technical solution for that. So this is, so to say, a circle which has to be agreed on so that at the end of the day we can have trust into the model which we want to use then for the new business models in future. Thank you very much.
Professor Steffen, thanks a lot. I mean, so much to later on talk. I just noted the twin, BIM, data exchange, the trust and dynamic certification. You are going to new business actually,
yeah,
if you pull that off.
Sure.
And in your world, there's a lot of data. And that brings us to Professor Walster. Professor Walster, you're working with many large companies to get them to the age of big data and artificial intelligence in combining the physical and the real world.
Yes.
So your thoughts, what will the future bring on digital business models?
Thank you very much for the introduction. Actually, AI and big data, I think, are the driving forces. You mentioned one project with DFK. I should mention another one. I haven't prepared a slide on this. We have another joint project, virtual testing of autonomous cars.
Yes.
The TÜV certification for autonomous cars by using actually digital twins. That's a new project, a platform we call Together Genesis. It was just in the press, so I can mention it. But anyway, I believe that this picture is extremely important. AI and big data are really the driving forces both behind the smart factory, the smart products, but very important for our discussion today, the smart service. And let me say that we just finished a MOOC, a massive open course with Frank Ringsberger, Henning Kagemann and myself about smart service. So if you are interested, I will distribute some of the internet addresses so that you can listen. Now, AI technology is extremely important for the next stage of Industry 4.0. Mass customization, predictive maintenance, plug and produce, real-time line balancing, online quality control, but also the digital twin cannot be realized without AI technologies. I gave you a list of the AI technologies and correlate them with a digital twin, for instance. Here the semantic product memory and semantic AI technology is important because, of course, we have to understand them. Software has to understand what is stored in the digital twin. So digital twin, actually, I proposed this term as a semantic product memory several years ago. It monitors a product itself and its environment. And as Frank pointed out, it's already before the product is born that the digital twin, these are the genes, the specification of the product is already living, and it's a live log. Until recycling, the digital twin provides all the data and can tell the story of its life. I published this in 2013, and sometimes we are before practice. So I was astonished. Last year, 20,000 copies of this book were downloaded. Now it's exploding, the idea, but you know, we had 7 years ago. For instance, let me discuss some business models. I was very happy that Lufthansa, our Star Alliance airline here, started to have Aviatar, which is a digital twin for aircraft. So all the Lufthansa aircrafts which go to Lufthansa technology.
Maybe, Professor Walser, we have so much interference from other systems around the
old
booth.
economy.
Okay, sorry.
So maybe we
It's
just
good,
take the
it's good.
microphone.
Yeah, it's better. It's an independent open platform for digital twins that aligns to all the Lufthansa's information, but also the clients. Because, as you may know, Lufthansa does a lot of service, maintenance, and operation for other airlines. What is very nice about Aviatar, I will pick only one point which makes clear that this is really disruptive. They have a lot of apps on the digital twin, like fleet management, of course, condition analytics, fault diagnosis. But the most interesting, I think, is reliability benchmarking. Why? Because they charge other airlines if they want to know where are they compared to the world's leading airlines. Because they have now information about the aircraft of other airlines, and they can provide, using this information, additional services and say, you know, you are United. United has, on the reliability benchmark compared to Lufthansa, this status. This is very prestigious information. This information you get by harvesting all the information also from competing editor, but who do the maintenance with Lufthansa technology. This is one of their leading business. So this is very interesting because it's a OEM spanning platform. You can compare Airbus via with also Boeing and so on, all on this basis of the digital twin. It's a little bit like the business model of other companies like even Facebook and Google, but on a technical level. Yeah, it's the same idea. It's not the customer, here's the aircraft which is compared. Another very nice business model, I was involved with DHL. We had this project Semprom Semantic Memory, and they founded a spin-off called Agira. And this company has a device which uses solar panels to have the energy, and then a small computing device, and also satellite connection, so that if you have a container on an ocean freighter, you can actually not only track the position, but you can look for security, whether somebody opened during the trip the container or the status of the container. So we know, for instance, the temperature inside the container, humidity, other factors like shaking, shock, and so on, so that you at the end can really read what happened with this container during shipping and can provide to the customer added value services, and you can charge for this. This is the Agira company, real-time tracking worldwide. The last very new application, I just visited this company. This is the most successful startup in Portugal. Actually, they are expanding very fast. It's called Farfetch. They specialize on high-end fashion articles, and what they do is they have a platform which they call also as a white label platform to other really haute couture companies. And what they do is they use, again, artificial intelligence to do with deep learning automatic classification, because in fashion industry there's all is in pictures. And of course, if you want to have a structured access to this information in digital twins, you need first to analyze this. And here, for instance, the system automatically says this is, for instance, a dress which has mid-length, yeah, just from this picture. Or the neckline here is a round one, and so on. So with AI technology, catalogs of all the big fashion clothes designers are scanned. They are brought to this, and then with Farfetch, with this search engine, you can systematically search for this. You also can identify automatically trend scouting in fashion. My wife worked a lot in this domain. For instance, female empowerment. You see here, for instance, new trends by Saint Laurent, broad shoulders, so women look a little bit more male and so on. You can identify this automatically from the pictures. You get the ontology, and then you can search about this. This is a good example. Female empowerment, you see. What tricks you can use to do this. Anyway, this is a good example. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Dear Professor Walser, I think I love your examples because it shows how data, algorithms, artificial intelligence is coming to real-world problems. and that will make the difference. Dr. Haschfast from Schneider Electric, welcome on stage. I think you are a hidden champion in the way you very smartly actually bundle products and services to surprise your customers. Looking forward to your story and the role of the digital twin in that.
Thank you very much. Can I use it?
Maybe if you use a hand microphone, we have a lot of interference.
Okay. Good. So thank you very much for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And in the next couple of minutes, I want to share with you some thoughts how we are dealing with digitization and driving this. At Schneider Electric, we are taking digitization very, very seriously. It's on the top agenda of our management. And we are taking also a holistic approach to this topic. So why we are doing digitization? Three aspects. First of all, we have a very successful business. And we want to enhance this core business with the chances we see in applying new technologies like connectivity and analytics. But it's not only that. We are looking forward, and we see also the opportunity here to create new business models and new revenue streams for us and for our customers. So it's a win-win situation for them. And on top of that, there is a third rationale why we are doing this, is we think that while applying digitization, we are enhancing and improving the way we are engaging with our customers. We can improve the experience and the journey they are doing with us, provide them more value, and being more successful with that. So this is why we are doing digitization, and let me share with you now what we are doing on the offer side of that, how we have transformed our portfolio from a very successful product and solution provider to a provider of IoT platform and architecture. So you may know Schneider Electric is 25 billion company acting actually in a very clear market. We focus on two things: energy management and automation. This is where we see our strength, and this is where we see also our future. And we are serving different markets like building, data centers, industry, and energy infrastructure. And we wanted to transform our portfolio in a way that we bring consistency into our offer and to our customers. And it's clear that we have to narrow this down to some domains. So we have what we call the automation, building, power, the IT, machine, plant, and grid. But we have created a kind of platform which is consistent throughout all our applications, which we call EcoStruxure. And EcoStruxure is a very simple architecture which is IoT enabled. And we started capitalizing on our strengths. So we haven't started everything from the scratch. So the first layer is around what we call connected products. So this is around making the products more connectable, start connecting what's not connectable, what's connectable but's not connected, etc. And then the second layer is about the edge control. And an edge control can be for a building management system, can be in the plant a DCS, can be a PLC or motion controller for machine. So we created a layer of very consistent and flexible edge control. And then we supplemented this with a third layer, which we call application and analytics services. And here we have done multiple efforts to get this layer very sophisticated. One of the topics we have done, and you may have heard about this in the press, is we have built an alliance with Aviv and put both our businesses together, software businesses together, in a very strong leading company for software. So, and you know, Aviva is a leading company in providing software, especially to provide digital twins, just an example, digital twins for complete plants. But we are working also on providing what we call advisors. So we have an grid advisor, we have a machine advisor, etc. So an advisor is a digital service for specific applications to enable our customers in their specific fields to digitize their service, to build new business models based on that, and create new revenue streams. So this is a very simple approach. We supplement this with the ability to have this in the cloud or on-premise if there is still no trust to go in the cloud or there are some obstacles there. So, and for sure, we supplemented this with an end-to-end cybersecurity approach and consulting to make sure that this is all cyber secure. This approach is very successful. We have deployed it in more than 480,000 sites in the different markets we are acting there. We have more than 1.6 million of connected assets today, and we are growing with this and with our customers nicely in a double-digit rate. So one key success factors while doing this is to be open and to collaborate. To be open, because here customers are looking and seeking for interoperability. You need to set or to adapt to open standards. You need to be interoperable with others and so on. So it's over with the closed systems here. Another challenge here is the pace and the complexity. So no one alone, no matter how strong or how big is the company, can master this alone. So we need collaboration. We are working for, and strong partner for us is here Accenture, but you see also a lot of other, whether digital partners and network of industry consortium startups. So we are creating an ecosystem around this topic where we collaborate and complement each other and create win-win situations to serve our customers and provide value. So with this, I would like to stop here. So thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Haffgosch. I mean, the numbers are stunning. 400,000 sites, 1.6 million connected devices, assets, one platform. We'll talk more about that. Svenja, if you join me on stage. Svenja is with us, with Accenture. You are a researcher in our global research team.
Wholeheartedly.
Maybe you want to tell the audience yourself what you do and what you do on the Industry 4.0 platform and digital business models.
Yeah. So I'm responsible for representing Accenture in this work group on digital business models in the Industry 4.0. And it's not only about understanding what a business model is or what the right technology is or what the processes is or what the winning formulas are. I think understanding digital business models of the future is of crucial importance for all economies in the world. And in particular, for our country, many countries are envious. 23% of our GDP comes from industry. 1 out of 3 jobs depend on industry. It's an innovation engine. Half of our patents come out of industries. But there are a lot of questions. You have mentioned one. You were talking about the fact, what is the outcome? Yeah, what is the economic digital twin? You talked about trust. You talked about adoption of technology. So there are many, many questions. And we have companies that make it work. So, but in order to not only define profitable business models, but also to scale them, because adoption and scalability is what matters in an economy and in a country, and this is what the platform Industry 4.0 is about. It brings together not only leading companies, but also academics, associations, and social partners to really bring everything together to not only identify the solutions but also assess how to actually implement them. And this is exactly what we will be doing. So we will answer, Mr. Veit, we will answer your question in our work group. And we will also look at questions. How do you monetize? How do you scale? And then this question that you also hinted towards, the question of organization. Value comes from adapting technologies in organizations and not from having them. So all these questions, we will be working on it together, and next year we will present our first results here, and I'm very much looking forward to then presenting it to all of you. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Svenja. You know, we are trying to solve this riddle, and then if I can ask all the panelists to come up on stage, I'll take the seat here on the rim. Maybe we move this one a little bit out, so we are. And pick your own seat, if you like. We have a little bit, you recognize that problem is with the audio. It's not our system. Apparently, it's all the other systems around us who have the interference. So we are trying to cope between the microphone we have, and if it doesn't work, we take the handheld.
Maybe we need a camera which can read the words from the house, and we do not need any microphones. That could be done by Fraunhofer.
That is the next digital twin.
Vocal twin.
But, you know, at the end, we're not driving digital to drive digital. We drive digital to drive productivity. I think we're not bad as a country doing that, as an industry. But the big prize is, can we disrupt industries and can we see new revenues, additional revenues coming in? Dr. Veit, you sit on a variety of supervisory boards. Where do you think we are in Germany? And when you compare us against the world, what works for us? Are we ahead? And what is it we should be doing to accelerate?
First of all, I think it's very obvious that people and companies are doing this, and my former company, Festo, has been forced very strong into this field. So because these components are, on one side, such a lot of complexity that they really could manage it having a digital twin to find out of such a complexity a complete solution which is easy to handle.
Did they get there?
They did get there, and I do not make advertise because I'm not still there.
This is sharing experiences.
But really, no, this is working, and very simple. It has been 3 years ago, while selling, for example, a handling robot system was done by 80% people, and nowadays maximum 50%. So the system itself sells, and the people get adapted to the market. Otherwise, we are pricing out on one side, but it's more comfortable within these new digital twin offered by the company to show how it's easier, and it's really easier and better than people can give solutions to customers. Therefore, it's a must for them.
Do you drive more revenues with that?
Yes.
How?
On one side, I think the same price for the system is done, but the sales costs have come down from 33% to 23% because the process of selling has been getting much cheaper and more professional.
Excellent. So basically you say that it's happening right now, right here.
I can show you from other companies where I'm forcing they have to do, and I think really if you're looking around and if you're looking at your behavior, how buying products, internet is sometimes the better knowledge and the better helping force than you can get from people somewhere.
Professor Walster, you had a few stunning examples. I think that shows what DFKI is doing. Do you see that the companies you consult on big data analytics and the change of the business models, do you see them taking an advantage in their competitive positioning in the markets? So
Yes.
not only using technology, but really improving performance.
It's improving performance and it's generating completely new business stream. I think this is the nature of disruptive business, that it makes new services possible. As I said, for Lufthansa, it's a completely new service that they can give you a benchmarking, for instance, figure, which they couldn't do before.
And they do that for money?
Yes. It's their charge, of course. And the same is true when I mention, I think even our model, with the TÜV, I think it's your model of the future, that you can do checking also the features of autonomous cars like you do now physically in a virtual world, because of course we cannot test a autonomous driving car in a real situation with all the challenges. For instance, the animal which is jumping in the middle of the night in front of your car, you must have a special test environment, which is so that you test this digital twin of the software in this environment, and then you give your TÜV certification. And again, it's a completely new business model, because it's not like the old physical car checking and so on. So I think this is a necessity. Every new the investment in digital twin should show up in better and new services which you can charge your clients, so that you make in the end more money.
Before we come to the TÜV, maybe the third, which I think is actually absolutely important for us as an industry to take the lead. Dr. Haşhaş, you talked about the customers of the customers, and when you sell your product, you think about services going with the product, not necessarily only for the customers, but the end customer has an advantage. And you talked about double-digit growth, which sounds like more money coming in. Can you elaborate or tell us or share a few examples? How can one imagine what's going on?
Well,
if you can.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, we are in an industry which is very rational. So no one is looking from our customers looking just for innovation for the sake of innovation. Yeah. So there is always the rational, what's behind it, what's in terms of efficiency, effectiveness, and this must materialize in money. So if I take an example, machine builder. A machine builder, in the past, they have been focusing on developing especially in Germany, for example, very productive machines, very solid machines. The best machines are coming from here, but when you look to the service, it was a more reactive way, because all the means and the tools were not available. So today, providing them a platform, you can say, hey, you can connect your machines, you can have those data, you can analyze them, and you can do some services around this, and you can monetize on this. Right? This is a very compelling case. And this is how we are approaching this. We are looking always what's the value and how we can partner together with our customers to get a win-win situation and to provide value and new revenue streams.
So you look for the problems in the market and you develop specific lot size 1 services to solve the problem on the ExoStruxure platform.
Absolutely.
I think probably that is how to do it, because I really think you are ahead in industry. And well, the TÜV, I think, it sounds like the TÜV, but it's in the middle of this. You know, your presentation was clear. You know, the digital twin is not new. 10 years in racing, you simulate for performance. But now, if you don't simulate for the dynamic real life, probably all these companies couldn't realize their business models. What does it mean for you? How do you change your own company to be ahead and offer these services in the new?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear, and I think the discussion shows us there's a lot of potential in all of that. But of course, sometimes the legacy which we have is also sometimes a little bit difficult. Yeah, we have 25,000 people, and I would say only 50 people of these 25,000 understand what we're talking about here. And that is, I think, the challenge of most of the industrial companies right now. And this legacy can also mean that we can be overpassed left and right. As Professor Walser said, our business model will be changed in future into, let's say, virtual testing and all these kind of things. And if we cannot, so to say, upgrade our competences here in the speed which is necessary in these technologies here, then of course we will have a problem. Not only we. I think many companies in the
industry. You have a secret sauce?
No, if I had, I would not tell you.
But there was a very interesting comment. The digital twin helps also to train people. So it's also extremely helpful having a digital twin that people are prepared for training, not having, let's say, accidents and so forth. So it's also a very important part.
I think and we come to that, challenges and training the people, how do you change the organization? But I like to stay a bit on the business model, because I think that, especially for a company like yours, it could, I think, potentially dramatically change. Today, you go there and you get certified that you're compliant. Could you imagine a world where you ensure that nothing happens? You know, you say, I do the specification, I do the certification, the simulation, and to some extent I give a promise that it functions properly, which is an insurance, basically, policy. Is that too far out?
I think at the end of the day, we need something similar. But I think that is now a question what we are talking, that it works perfectly. I mean, what we have been discussing over the last years is also, let's say, the definition of what does security mean. Are there really, let's say, is there 100% security? I don't think there will ever be 100% security. So, and that is, on the one hand side, it's good to have the, let's say, the brand TÜV. On the other hand, it is sometimes a little bit tricky, because when you ask somebody on the street, what do you, let's say, what do you think about, let's say, a label which has TÜV? Then everybody says 100% safe, 100% quality, all these things. And I think in this fast-changing world, and especially when you have security questions, it's difficult to have this 100% things. So we have to define somehow what does security mean. I would not say safety. Safety must be 100%. But what does security mean? And there we have not finally found
That's
the right
an interesting
answers.
point, because not only that you have the legacy, but you have to evolve the brand
Exactly.
to play new business model.
Exactly.
Professor Walter, you have a point on this.
Just this example, I think it's the ideal example for the reliability in the insurance. Today, I talked to a member of the board of Munich Reinsurance Company. And believe it or not, they are working on digital twin for smart factories to determine the insurance policy for collaborative robots. So they have a bunch of robots, and they want to give you insurance that your production really functions. And of course, they want to simulate this with digital twins so that they get a clue what will be the insurance policy. But you, as the owner of these robots, are insured. You get money back if your robots don't function and you have a delay in production. I think this shows also the power of digital simulation, digital twins.
Yeah, and you know that it could be very well that the ecosystem of different players coming together gives the overall promise. Svenja, in your working group, you have 35 large companies, smaller companies, think tanks in Germany, labor unions. Where are we as an industry in terms of digital business models? Where are we going, and how mature are we already?
What we see is that there is a lot of focus at the moment on efficiency increases. So we see a lot is happening at the moment in sort of incrementally, or sort of efficiency increases which are not sort of adding new value streams. Companies overall are always a little bit scared to cannibalize their own business model, and therefore are sometimes not fast enough to get there. However, I think here at the Hanover Fair and here at this podium, we all see obviously that efficiency does not differentiate you in competition. It's not something that is adding additional value. So hopefully, you know, getting sort of the top line right is something that we will work on together.
Do you see some early leaders already?
Of course. Yeah, there are. You know, you see, what you can see is that there are companies, so in some way you can even say there's somewhat like the return of the incumbent. I think like 2 years ago, we were all talking about the GAFA companies, you know, the platforms that put themselves between supply and demand and sort of concentrating the market. But what you now see is maybe Airbus, if I may quote another company in that space. So they are putting new data-driven business models on their existing ones. So they have built a subsidy called Airbus Ariel, where they are combining satellite data with drone data and have now opened a completely new portfolio of customers and insurance companies, for example, to help them, assess the damages of hurricanes. So this is something that you can see on top of the existing business. And one thing that we already also know since quite some time, the as-a-service model, like Rolls-Royce and Kärcher and so on, this will become very big with the digital twin. So I think that this is the area where we will probably see the largest growth enabled through the things that we have been discussing here.
So first round of questions, bring it together. Digital twin is live, we see it. You have it for 10 years. You see it with your DFKI project. You all taking the digital twin, connected to the platforms, you are with your products while they're being operated, and you go lot size one, solving customer problems. It seems EI creating a new experience, how your products operate for the customer's problem individually. I think that seems to be a formula we can pursue in the country, we can pursue around the world actually, because we have billions of products out there. Now, let's go to the second round, the big challenges. And Professor Steppke, maybe I start with you because you started to say, and I think what you're saying is many are saying, well, the new promised land is out there. I have my existing business, I have my existing team, and how do I start rotating from the existing model to the new model? Do you have can you talk a bit about the anchor points or the pillars on how you think about that, taking it forward? The big challenges to address on the people side?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of, and I think we talked about all these things already, a mix of technology, organization, and people. These triangles, I think, has to be solved somehow. None of the three parts can solve the problem alone. And just as an example, we developed, not for us, but for at least some of our customers, a smart industry readiness index in Singapore, where we right now are doing assessments of right now 300 companies in Singapore, international companies, but also Singapore companies, let's say to give them at least a kind of baseline where they stand. And then in these three
technology, organization, people.
Exactly, in this triangle. And this is, I think, the same in our company. As I said, I mean, it will be difficult, and you ask, where's my secret sauce? It will be difficult to find the right people. But what we also observe is, and we are right now in a strategic discussion also, which will probably also lead in a change of our organization, that also the traditional organization with, let's say, business-related divisions and the horizontal, the regions, we have a matrix organization, is not the organization of the future. We have to be flexible, we have to be agile, as Dr. Veit said, and the traditional organizations probably are not the right ones for that. And then what makes it also, again, interesting for our business model, you know that we certify also processes. And also the processes which we have to have in future cannot be static processes, they have to be adapted to certain problems, to certain business models. So in all three of these parts of the triangle, we have to find new solutions.
So basically you're changing the organization to adapt for the future already,
yes.
Ahead of time. And I think that's an important element. Dr. Veit, you have Agile and Spirit. I know you have the Festo Lernfabrik, which was a very early, very visible example. What's your experience, how you take a company on the journey?
First of all, I think actually to be very successful like the industries are, makes us a little bit more resistible against the future changes because the resources are done for doing the actual business. So people are, let's say, satisfied. On the second, what I would say is a culture. People remain very often on their old behavior because it was a successful part. They know what has been coming up. This is also, especially in Germany and in Europe, that companies stay on the old track. And especially my new job, being in supervisory boards, helps also to give the thoughts in the ownerships and in the government of companies. Let's say the people have to change their culture. That changes and new things are good things, not bad things. To change something like in an organism is something to be alive. And a lot of companies have the problem that they are not changing because everything from the past is good and changes are thought as bad. And so I feel somehow that the culture and that change the company, the organization, having new things is a good thing, and it's not yet in the head and in the spirit of everybody.
So it's actually not about mastering the technology, it's about mastering the ability to transform the own views, the own perspective, the own experiences.
Exactly, and I'm in the platform, and I somehow see that we are investing a lot of money into these things, what Professor Wallster is doing excellent. But I think these billions we are doing in technology, we should also invest in people, in training and getting them, let's say, the thoughts of tomorrow and seeing that it's a very good one. It's a good future within digitalization. Because at home, everybody thinks using these devices is a good one. But in the company, it's sometimes a problem because they think it's dangerous to communicate with digital devices and so forth. So I think it's really a matter, and this is an appeal to everybody, that on one side, investing in technology should be the same as to invest in people, and the same volume and the same money you invest there. But in Germany, 6 times more we invest in technology than in people. And this is something which I don't like.
6 times more in technology than people. Professor Wallster, you are not only running the DFKI with 800 people, you are educating, training PhDs. What sort of people are you looking for to join DFKI? What sort of skills are you educating, and what sort of collaboration are you looking for in the team you have?
I think what we really need are people who are highly skilled, of course, in the technical disciplines. I think this should be the top goal, but at the same time also have an entrepreneurial spirit and also know about people management, human resources. But for me, it's the second thing, but it's very important. We have the so-called software campus initiative where we train excellent students who have top-notch, grades in the technology, in computer science, for instance, but at the same time are really interested in, performing leadership, transformation, industry. I think this is the right people who have also the genes for leadership, because we have the problem that in many big companies, I think it was a disaster in the 90s where we saw more and more people just from lawyers, in the headquarters and even CEO position of big technology companies. And I think this was a little bit of decline. Our chancellor recognized it and we complained. If you look at the big successful technology companies in the US, they are still led by people who have technology in the genes, but of course a very good management skill and entrepreneurial skill, also human, as my colleague Veit said. I think this is the most important, but I think it's you learn easier, this part is than the technology. Somebody who is good in people management must not be very good in understanding deep technology, and I think so this should come first in the study. This is my experience, and then other. But just one remark about the digital twin. I think we forgot to mention that also the companies must be open to collaboration in the ecosystem. I think that's a key element. The success of the digital twin depends also on your ability to form a team and an ecosystem with other companies. Let me give a very brief example. When you have a digital twin in a car, of course, during the design phase of the car, during the production, the digital twin today is already in practice. But then the next step is you have a logistic companies transporting your product to your sales agency. Then the sales agency can also use a digital twin. During the transportation, everything is recorded. Then if you go to the end consumer also can read out from the digital twin some very important information. So the chain of users of the digital twin is not just the product owner, but there are many stakeholders. And I think, like in the IoT platforms, the most critical point is interoperability. Exactly. So that you must have people in management who are open to collaboration. The ecosystem is really the success of the digital twin.
May I raise a question instead of him now? Is there an architecture model that organizes also for digital twin let's say, the different levels
Yes.
of the pyramid
Yes.
of the automation? Is
We
it
worked
already
on
in
this
place?
with
Sorry for-
Fraunhofer,
Yeah,
with
that's
Siemens,
exactly-
Bosch.
well,
I had the
that's what we
project,
aim
and
for.
this is in the book actually. We describe already a standard which was proposed by Bosch, Siemens, Fraunhofer, myself, also the SAP. It's called OMM, Object Memory Model, where you have the opportunity as a new stakeholder to write also your own information, DHL, transporting your car, and then writing some information which they need, but it's based on also many security issues, privacy, so that only people who get the allowance can read this part of this stakeholder. So you can hide some information. So for instance, the transport company should not know all the details in the digital twin about the production phase. Some information, yes, which is free, other information is blocked. I think this is our
So
model.
that's a
and
core actually for
Yeah.
the industrial
We
data
gave-
space
And
which
it's
you're talking about.
is it global?
I
Or is
don't
it
know.
only a German step forward?
No, it's
Sorry for-
W3C. It's W3C, World Wide Web Consortium, like HTML. It's already accepted as a so-called incubator standard. We need some more American companies, W3C. The Germans are all in favor. United States company also. But if you agree, we can really push this standard so that it becomes a worldwide standard. We need more foreign companies.
The burden is on you.
Exactly.
But in your own journey, from your experience, what are the biggest challenges you had to solve on the way?
Yeah. Well, basically a lot has been said about challenges, and I couldn't agree more to my co-speakers about this. I think, and I confirm that the technology challenge is the least challenge to master. I think the biggest challenges are more on the side of what I will call the change management, is a strong piece of change management, deluxe. And the other piece is around the capabilities and the right people to do that. Change management, because all what you have said is right. When you are strong in something, when you are very successful, you are in a comfort zone. And moving, starting saying, I don't want to be hit by this train, I want to be, and I don't want only to be on the train. We decide in Schneider Electric to drive this train. And this is a strong piece of change management, of leadership, where the top leaders of a company, they have to put it, on the agenda and stretch themselves, and the organization, spend more time not talking where the money is coming today from the business is important, but more important is where the money is going to come tomorrow. So this is one challenge to lead this change in the mindset. The other challenge is really here we need a new set of skills from the people. The soft skills you have taught people when you say disruption, a lot of people get scared. Mm-hmm. I think we need people who say, no, it's not scary. It's a new chance. It's a new opportunity. I need to embrace it and shape it. And then it comes with all of the skills for this new technology and so on. And here the mitigation is, again, what I said is to be open, to collaborate, and to help each other. If someone want to go for this way alone, is not going to be fast enough and successful enough. So I think here is the key is collaboration, being open for others, and try to drive things together.
Digital technology, culture, mindset. Svenja, in research, you're working for the World Economic Forum. You're working with many across the world. Where should we take a look, and where can we learn from in these categories, from your experience?
Yeah. So first of all, this is not about fixing the people that they can work with technology. This is about really getting the benefits out of the IT investments. If you don't get sort of the leadership, the management practices, the organizational governance, if you don't get that right, you don't get the benefits from it. And Mr. Veit, it's not about 6 times. So we did an assessment about assessing how much companies are investing more in people versus investing in new technologies, and the gap is huge. So
More than 6, you say?
Yes. So if you look, for example, from 2016 to 17, investments in AI and cognitive technologies have increased by 60%, but only 3% of companies want to invest more in people. 3%. So you will not get the adoption, the benefits, the gains, if you don't do that in parallel. And that doesn't mean, like, boosting your HR department or training department. This is a CEO agenda topic.
Maybe 8 o'clock, maybe a few questions from the audience, and then we'll wrap it up with a quick round. Here's a chance. Who has a question? Maybe introduce yourself for the...
Yes, I'm Geert. I'm with Gels, the London-based consulting company. You've talked about digital twins. When will you see digital economic twins come up in practice?
You want to take that? You talked about
exactly.
the
I
commercial
asked
twin?
this, and I always told this company that we are very good in simulations. We are good in making solutions, but if you can see the economic outcome with a simulation from the, let's say, simulation, this is a major thing which helps also to argue that people get into digitalization. If you tell the supervisory board that they can, with an economic twin, you can prove that you will save this and this money with this digitalization, they will invest. And also people, as we told, will jump into this field because that's their job of tomorrow. Then they can see. You are totally right. Yes, we should do.
Another question over here.
My name is Tom Franzke. I'm working for ContiTech here in Hannover. Professor Dr. Steppken, you made a very funny comment. You said you convinced your CFO to invest in your building. I can really imagine how you convinced with your stripes, maybe. Yeah. Because you believe. That's great. Yeah. So, but how you make sure in your organization that innovation is not hindered by controlling, in general?
No, I mean, I do not want to blame our CFO too much. It was true, and it comes back to your question. We really, I mean, we have really examined this BIM for our case in Singapore, and we talked to a lot of people, and we are now convinced that we can save money, and that would be this digital economic twin. And here I would say there is enough proof that with BIM you can save money, especially on the long run in a building. Coming to your more generic question, that comes back to the question which we had before, the culture in the organization. And I think somebody said at the beginning that the economic figures are at the end of the day only the outcome of what we do in processes, technological innovation and so on. And I think here we have a common understanding, and we are not hindered by controlling at all. Just the opposite.
You know, finance guys have to collect, CEOs have to think forward.
All right, another question?
Yes, Carsten Egger is my name. I'm the CEO of TNS Group. I maybe have a question to you, Dr. Veit, regarding standards. I think digitization means as well speed to market. We have not talked about standards at all tonight. Mm-hmm. I think it's the biggest hurdle to bring digital factoring or digitalization to let's say, experience, to lifetime experience. What would you do in terms of standardization? And do you see standardization as one of the bridges to save, let's say, the economical development?
I think you are on a very important part because if you are working with, let's say, companies together, you have to have standards for interacting on one side, and on the other side you have to have standards which are the standards on security and who takes what. I think you made just in the former discussion with Dr. Neugebauer from Fraunhofer discussion who is responsible if a robotic
is killing somebody. It's those who have bought it and or is the producer, and so it's security standards, it's technical standards. I am on the platform, on the leading of the platform, German platform Industry 4.0, and we are really working with working groups a lot on these. So we just brought out some RAMI models, and we just brought out some software standards. But I think this will be a long way until we get this done. And I think huge and big companies, they will do standardization with their power and strength. And therefore, you are raising a question which maybe is also an item we should discuss more here on such fairs like Hanover Fair, and discussing about these so-called cold standards. And cold standards, I can tell you a lot. Cold standards which are practiced by companies but not yet written down so much.
Professor Waltz, the object memory model has been out there for a few years.
Exactly.
Is it being used?
Yes, by some companies like Bosch, for instance, SAP partially, but still I agree the standardization is not finished. We have a lot of proposals, but right now we are still in the experimental phase, and also it's a big battle on standardization. I think it's very important that especially we in Europe and Germany are one of the first to have a standard. Of course, United States and especially China is also very much competing, and I think it's a race for the first
competition.
standard. It's a competition, and I think we are quite good, but we have to be much faster with our standardization efforts.
So just as an advertising, this morning 8:30 we signed the standards with Mexico about this digitalization. I think this is a huge step forward that countries are now stepping into this. So this,
Exactly.
I think it's, but it takes a long time.
Yes.
Maybe if you allow a last round, fast statement from each of the panelists. If you had the Zauberstab, the magic wand, what is the one thing you would drive forward to be really a digital leader? Dr. Aschbath, maybe you want to start. What's the one thing you drive forward with force to be the digital leader in business models?
Well, I think I already said it. I think interoperability is something which is key to be leader here. So being open for others and enable collaboration, I think this is a very important topic.
Interoperability ecosystem, use the powers of the others. Professor Alster, thank you.
I'm working in research and technology, so my next step is what we call long-term autonomy. I think we had this report about autonomous systems by Akatech, and I think we should take this very seriously. I see the future of Industry 4.0 kind of a 4.1 in systems which have long-term autonomy in the following sense. You can tell the system to optimize, a long-term goal, like you go today to a factory director and tell him, in the next half year, please have a better yield of 10%. And I think we are very close to systems using machine learning, AI, and cyber-physical systems that really the factory can, optimize itself in a long term, not one shot, but over longer term. And I think this is very important for many cases in technology. So going beyond Industry 4.0 means for me long-term autonomous systems.
Long-term autonomous systems. Svenja.
It's about the profit formula that brings together sort of the value proposition, the monetization, the people, and sort of the processes. This is what's needed, the holistic perspective.
So what we heard, the technology, the organization, and the people working together. Okay? Professor Stettgen?
So I would, if I could, I would try to enhance our organization to learn faster from those successful organizations in this digital world. So change our culture in a way that, let's say, we are more failure tolerant, that innovation is not only encouraged, it is also appreciated, and that we are just faster on our path to all the things we discussed today. I think that would bring us in a very good pole positions to be successful.
Accelerate.
Accelerate, right.
And Dr. Veit?
I would like walk the talk, as I said, agile sprint is needed for each company, which has been explained, and to do clever products. Not only digital products are clever, also these kind of products are clever. And sometimes we are over-engineering some things. Sometimes it's easier to do it easy and clever and smart and intuitive. And I think companies will survive only if they do it smarter and more intuitive.
All right, I think that brings it nice together, because what you just said in the summary round is actually what we talked about. The digital transformation, we don't have to wait for it, it has arrived. If you look out here, all the technology there, the buzzwords are on all the booths, and what really separates the winners from the losers is how you orchestrate for success. And then there's the business, where we said we need the profit formula, the smart product, the services, the new experiences. We need to think in platforms for the customer of the customers, make use of the data and artificial intelligence, and we need to be extremely dynamic. So that is the one side. And the other side is, I think you express it very well. We have to start pushing ourselves to new boundaries. It starts in the mindset. Mm-hmm. The change and the speed is not related to technology. It's related to our ambition level. It's related to how much we invest in our people, and not only in the technology, and how fast we can run, I guess, right? So I think big round of applause. The summary alone is the recipe for digital leadership. Thank you.